이번 영상은 셀레스티아 팀의 COO이신 닉 화이트님의 세 번째 인터뷰 영상입니다. 두 번째 영상을 보시지 않았다면 상단의 영상 참조 부탁드립니다. 의미 있는 암호화폐 관계자들의 또 다른 인터뷰를 위해 좋아요와 하이프 부탁드립니다. Okay, I think that we cover the basics of Celestia, I think. So this time we're going to kill some FUD.
Nice.
The next question is, some people say that DA is just a commodity and builders don't really care about what DA they use. I know you have a strong opinion on this one. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's easy if you're looking at the market today to think, okay, data availability, aka block space, is a commodity. Meaning, no user cares where, if I'm transacting, I don't care if I'm transacting on Ethereum or I'm transacting on Tron or I'm transacting on Polygon or Arbitrum or Solana. As long as like the dollars get into my wallet, then that's fine, right?
Yeah.
And so it does kind of feel like users are not sensitive to security of, obviously Ethereum is more secure and centralized than Tron.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't seem to be very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
And then it seems to be even more. Now, the thing is, the block space in one of these monolithic chains like Ethereum, they have like a lot of state and a lot of logic and applications built on them. So you start to think, well, that's a kind of a network effect that makes the block space on Ethereum actually more valuable because there's more things. If I have things, more people maybe to send it to. There are more ways to compose it with this wider ecosystem of liquidity and apps. And that doesn't seem true for just pure block space because it's even one more step removed from that. But that's where people go wrong.
Yes.
Essentially, because ultimately that you do contracts and all that stuff. It's just that it's happening at another layer of abstraction.
Yeah.
So so a lot of people are really caught up on this idea of like, oh, well, it's atomic composability.
Yeah.
That is the key killer feature of crypto and blockchains, right?
Yes.
That the fact that I can take my stable coins, borrow against them, make a trade, bring the money that I just traded back out and settle back up all in one transaction, that's the key unlock. But actually, I think that the real unlock is what's like just trust minimized composability, because atomic just means it happens all in one step.
Yes.
Versus what's actually most important is that when I'm using it in this app about what they're doing, like this app can't lie to this app about what just happened and vice versa. That is actually the key unlock. The fact that it happens in one time step is not that important.
Yeah.
Because you can have, and so as it turns out, if you want to preserve trust, minimize composability, you need to have all your apps and liquidity live on one L1,
yes.
one shared consensus and data availability layer. And so that is ultimately the network effect of a chain like Celestia, is that all the apps and liquidity that are co-located on this layer, the Celestia is this, those apps are already there. So you start to have exactly the same network effect as you do on a standard monolithic chain. You do lose the atomic part of it. So like if you're transacting between rollups on Celestia, there might be a slight delay, and so that the overall transaction route might take longer, but it's ultimately the exact same reason that you would co-locate on Ethereum for using liquidity and apps. You make the same decision on Celestia in the future. Now, again, this is not something that it's something that you have, this network effect is something you have to grow and build. And so I think we might talk about this later, but this is also key to one of Celestia's strategies, which is we have set the cost of the Celestia block space very low, because we want to win as much market share as possible. And that by winning market share, we're building more and more of our network effect.
Yes. So the next question is, there's an accusation that Celestia team sold their tokens and then is no longer working on the project. What's your take?
Completely false. Yeah. I think I personally haven't sold any of my TA on the project and the future of Celestia. And I would say the same for much of the team, especially the executive team. People are very locked in and committed to the future. I think because we all understand the vision and we all see the progress that we're making, we are all really excited about like where Celestia is going. There was also the made-up claim that some founders or team members sold prior to the token launch. It's also completely false and made up. Unfortunately, I feel like Twitter and just in general, the internet is good at making up rumors. And obviously, it's much easier to make up a rumor. There's no actual way. How do you can't, these are things you can't disprove. You can just say that they're not true, but like, how do you disprove them, right? So there's some law, which is basically like, it's 10 times harder to disprove bullshit than it is to like for someone to make it up. And so I think there's a lot of just made up stuff about Celestia and the team. And that's one of them.
Oftentimes I see them like saying, "Oh, I have proof or receipt or something like that," but I never seen them really like showing what they have in their hand. Just it's like, "Oh, I have receipt." It's like, where is it? Then like nothing, usually. So the last question. Lately, people are focused on revenue, and people criticize Celestia because it doesn't produce enough revenue now. What's your take?
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Essentially, there's two things to think about. First, Celestia is purposely keeping the fees low because we want to incentivize as much experimentation and gather as much market share as we can, because that's where we're going to get the network effect. And the network effect is what will drive pricing power in the future. So if we attract and we become the winning security layer, the winning L1 for Web3, and there's more and more desire for people to build on that security layer because they get to co-locate with the apps and liquidity like we're talking about, then that becomes this network effect that enables Celestia's block space to be more valuable and price itself higher, have a higher margin than the next L1. And so to understand Celestia's long-term economic model and revenue potential is not just this margin that we can get as we get more of a network effect, but also the scale, right? Celestia is building for a world where there are billions of users on chain. And at that point, we're gonna have millions of TPS, right? And at those levels of scale, the amount of revenue that Celestia would generate, even at today's fees, becomes very significant. So it's kind of like multiplying those two numbers of like, what do you think the margins will be on block space in the long term? And what do you think the total throughput of something like Celestia will be in the long term? Like, what is the overall demand for block space? And I think the demand for block space is big. And I personally think the margins will increase from here significantly, especially if Celestia is
Even Mustafa
is
actually,
here
even Mustafa actually put up a tweet about like how much money they can reasonably make this year with all the clubs. It seems quite reasonable to me. I actually made a video about it, but I don't know. It's just people don't really believe the small just algebra. It's like just calculate the thing, and then you will understand how much money the team can make. But I don't know.